On leaving office in 1970, in a farewell speech, marked by the same generosity of spirit that had characterized his entire public service, he voiced the gentle hope that the historians would think of him as more than a political phenomenon, but as a catalyst who hopefully has served to excite in the hearts and minds of our people a desire to shape our own destiny. Our own destiny. For some of us in Winthrop Rockefeller's adopted state, that might have remained a bleak and sterile destiny indeed without him. For the Arkansas of 1953, which this man from New York sought out and made his home, shared with its sister states in the South an historic ambivalence about its destiny. Arkansas, with the rest of the Southland, was caught in a deep and troubled sleep, a sleep that was sometimes a dream of greatness and sometimes a nightmare of hopelessness. Winthrop Rockefeller found in Arkansas in 1953 those extremes that songwriters and novelists and politicians did not mean when they spoke euphorically of our Southern way of life. He found a Southland of white columns and black ghettos, of country clubs and preservers of the status quo. He found an Arkansas of unparalleled promise and broken promises. It remained for this man, who was distinctly not a have-not, to address himself unstintingly to the plight of the many who were. Winthrop Rockefeller, who never had to be a wage earner, was responsible for Arkansas's first minimum wage law. And he led an industrial drive that helped to bring 600 new plants and 90,000 jobs into Arkansas. Most of the reform legislation of modern times in this state can be found in his record of 741 pieces of progressive and compassionate legislation passed in the short years given him here. And for those citizens of Arkansas who are black, like me, in the words of the Arkansas Gazette, Mr. Patterson, Mr. Powell, the Rockefeller years were unprecedented. The Win Rockefeller years were brief, but his impact on Arkansas is forever. And it goes far beyond these boundaries and touches millions. He removed chains from many of us that will never shackle us again. And he injected in us a belief that our quest for justice and equality was and is a just cause, and a struggle we must not abandon until Arkansas and all America is truly one nation, under God, invisible, with liberty and justice for all. Many of us have now moved on to other states and countries to replicate the Winthrop Rockefeller excellence. And whether that location is north, south, east, west, or central, Arkansas is our model for measuring progress when it comes to all people. Win Rockefeller, more than anyone else I know, helped us shape that model. So the early history of the black man in America is written very eloquently and with great realism in our folk songs and our spirituals. For in those songs, the reward of the black man always comes in the next world, never in this one. But because Win Rockefeller chose to live and work among us, this place here now, in the words of one of those great songs, A Better Land I Know. I said at the closing of my remarks on Petit Jean Mountain, I beckoned that God would be with Gov until we met again. I'd like to end this evening by saying, God, please send us more Win Rockefellers.